Your wife wants to be dominated. And I know that statement just made half of you uncomfortable. AD, you can't say that. That sounds controlling. That sounds toxic. But here's what I'm going to show you why this isn't about control or abuse. It's about understanding female nature. Why the data proves this beyond any shadow of a doubt, and why your wife's desire for you has slipped because she has dominated you and you've been letting it happen every single day. Listen up and hear me clearly. Your woman, my woman, all women want to be dominated. They will never come out and tell you this directly, but it is true. And I know this pisses off the feminists and the equality and everything crowd. Good. You should be questioning what you've been told, because for years you've been told that women want a partner who asks permission, who's sensitive, who lets her take the lead, blah, 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 blah. And what has that gotten you? A wife who's not attracted to you anymore, sex maybe twice a month, zero enthusiasm. Maybe, just maybe, the reason she's not attracted to you is because you've been acting like her girlfriend instead of her man. Look, bro, you're a good guy. You're successful. You provide. You're considerate. You ask her what she wants. You try to make her happy. You do everything the right way. But here's the reality. She hasn't initiated sex in years. When you do have sex, she's going through the motions. Blowjobs, maybe on your birthday, if you're lucky. And deep down, you know something's wrong. You remember when she used to be all over you, when she couldn't keep her hands off you, when she wanted you, and you're wondering what in the hell happened. My name is AD the Kingmaker, and I help high caliber husbands optimize their marriage for respect and desire using my proven framework based on years of studying male and female nature, evolutionary psychology, and what actually works across thousands of marriages. We do this without begging, doing more chores around the house, or feeling emasculated along the way. I show you how to get her jumping on her drawers the same way she did during the honeymoon phase. One tangible result we help you achieve is getting your wife to come to you on a weekly basis, offering enthusiastic blowjobs. If that's something you're interested in, subscribe to my page for more content like this. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Central. So again, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of this heat. Maybe you're thinking, but AD, women want equality. They want a partner, not someone who dominates them. Maybe you believe dominating your wife makes you controlling or abusive. Maybe you think modern women don't want traditional masculine leadership. Maybe someone told you that asking her what she wants and letting her lead is what attracts women. Maybe you're afraid that if you try to dominate, she'll push back or leave. So you keep asking instead of telling. You keep seeking her approval instead of making decisions. You keep letting her set the agenda for your life, your time, your priorities, and nothing's getting better. She's not more attracted. She's not more respectful. She's not pursuing you sexually. If anything, the more you defer to her, the less she wants you. And you're starting to wonder, maybe I've been doing this all wrong. After years of studying male and female dynamics across different cultures, different relationship structures, here's what I've discovered. Listen up and hear me clearly. You're a woman, my woman, all women want to be dominated. They will never come out and tell you this directly, but it's true. Story time. I recall a few years ago, I was in the middle of sex with this young lady, and at the time, I didn't know that women wanted to be dominated. So midway through, while things are hot and heavy, and we're both trying to catch our breath, I asked her, what position do you want to do next? Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. And all of a sudden, she let out this long sigh of disgust and looked back at me and said, don't ask me what I want. Tell me what to do. I was equally as embarrassed as I was intrigued. I was so used to being a good guy and a gentleman who was trying to cater to her needs that it never dawned she wanted me to lead the sexual interaction, which is another way of saying that she wanted me to be the dominant one in terms of what happens from moment to moment when we are engaging sexually. Another example that drives this point home is the book series titled 50 Shades, or 50 Shades of Grey. This series is about a woman named Anastasia Steele who becomes involved with a powerful, highly controlled man named Christian Grey. And her core struggle is reconciling her independence with a part of her that is deeply drawn to being led. We know this isn't just curiosity, it's her deepest desire, because what she does, not just what she says. Early on, Christian presents her a literal contract spelling out dominance, submission, rules, and boundaries. She doesn't just glance at it and move on, she sits with it. She negotiates specific terms. She asks questions. She could have walked out that room and never looked back, but instead she engaged with the structure like someone shopping for a home she already knows she wants to live in. Even more telling is the moment after their first intense physical encounter. She's shaken, emotionally flooded, and unsure of herself. And yet, rather than pulling away, she moves closer. She asks him to show her more. She wants to understand the full depth of what submission means inside his world. And perhaps the most revealing pattern across all three books is this: every time she leaves or creates distance, she comes back. There's a moment where she literally asks him to show her the worst, to give her the most extreme version of his dominance so she can understand it. And when he does, striking her across her bare skin with a belt while she counts each one out loud, she's devastated. She cries. She tells him she can't do this. She walks out of his apartment that night. They separate entirely. No calls, no contact, both of them gutted by how it ended. And yet, when he reaches back out and asks for another chance, she doesn't block him or shut the door. She sits down across from him, listens, and eventually steps back into his world with new boundaries, but still his world. Not because she's weak, not because she has no options, but because something in that dynamic calls to a part of her she can't satisfy anywhere else. This is essentially a series where the main character, a woman, chooses to be dominated over and over and over again, not out of desperation, but out of desire. Now let's talk about the sales data. This series has sold over 165 million copies worldwide, been translated into 52 languages, and set a record as the fastest selling paperback book of all time in the United Kingdom. At its peak, the trilogy was selling 2 copies every single second in the United States alone. It dominated the New York Times bestseller list for years. All 3 books held the top 3 spaces simultaneously, and the film adaptation grossed over $1 billion at the box office. According to Bowker Market Research, 80% of the purchasers were women. I'm pretty sure the other 20% were gay men. Okay, I'm pretty sure of it. And the series was so dominant that at one point, nearly 1 out of every 5 adult fiction books purchased by women in America was a 50 Shades book. Critics hated it. Reviewers trashed the writing, and women didn't care. They kept buying it. They kept reading it, kept recommending it to their friends, and kept going back for more. Coming full circle to my point, you're a woman, my woman, all women want to be dominated. If that's not true, then why in the hell else would women go out and buy 165 million copies of a book about a woman who chooses submission and then tell all their friends to read it too? For the person out there who's thinking, well, that's just one book. Okay, let's talk about a few more. What about the Twilight series? The series where a teenage girl becomes so consumed by a mysterious controlling vampire, a man who watches her sleep without her knowing, dictates who she can and can't spend time with, and literally has the power to kill her with his bare hands, that begs him to turn her into a vampire so she can belong to him forever. She chooses to give up her humanity, her family, her entire mortal life just to be permanently bound to a man who dominates every aspect of her existence. That series has sold over 160 million copies worldwide with a predominantly female readership and a film franchise that has grossed over $3 billion. Okay, let's try another book. What about Outlander, the series where a World War II nurse travels back in time to an 18th century Scotland and falls for a rugged Highland warrior, a man who at one point in the story physically disciplines her for disobeying him and putting the clan in danger. And rather than leaving him, she deepens her commitment to him, eventually choosing to stay in his century permanently and abandon the modern world altogether. That series has sold over 50 million copies worldwide, again, driven overwhelmingly by women. Let's go with one more example. The Court of Thorns and Roses, the series where a young woman is literally taken captive by a powerful, dangerous, immortal creature, dragged into his world against her will, and instead of escaping when she has a chance, falls in love with him, and later an even more powerful man who dominates not just her body but her mind through a supernatural bond she can't break and doesn't want to. The author has sold over 75 million copies of her books, and the series became the biggest phenomenon on Book Talk, driven almost entirely by young women recommending it to other young women. So no, it's not just one book. Coming full circle to my point, Yet again, you're a woman, my woman, all women want to be dominated. If that's not true, then why in the hell else would women go out and buy 165 million copies of 50 Shades of Grey, 160 million copies of Twilight, and 50 million copies of Outlander, and 75 million copies of Court of Thorns and Roses, exposed to these stories by their own mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends, exposed willingly. Now, here's what you need to understand about your marriage. Your wife's desire for you has slipped, and the reason is simple. She has dominated you, and you've been letting it happen every single day. Every time you do something you truly don't want to do because you don't want to hear her mouth, you've been dominated. Let me give you some examples and tell me if any of these sound familiar. Example 1. Your boys text you. We're getting together on Sunday to watch the game. You in? You mention it to your wife. She says, Sunday, really? That's family time. You're always hanging out with your friends. When do I get time with you? What do? You text back, can't make it, maybe next time. You stay home, you sit on the couch next to her while she scrolls on Instagram and pretend that you're not resentful. The reality, she just fucking dominated you. You gave up what you wanted to avoid conflict, and now her respect for you has been diminished. Example number 2, the we need to talk conversation marathon. You just got home from work. You're exhausted. You want to decompress. Maybe have 20 minutes of silence. She says, we need to talk about our relationship. And it's not an actual conversation. It's a 90-minute monologue where you're required to sit there, nod, and validate her emotions. What you do, you sit down, listen to her process her emotions for an hour and a half, say, I understand, you're right, repeatedly, even though you're dying inside and would rather be doing literally anything else. The reality, she just fucking dominated you. She controlled your time, your attention, and your energy, and you let her because you didn't want to hear her mouth, which you still ended up hearing her mouth. And now she's respecting you even less. Let's go for a third example. Fuck it. Initiating sex and being denied. You initiate sex. You're in the mood. You want your wife. She says, I'm tired. Not tonight. Maybe this weekend. Or she agrees but lies there like a starfish, clearly just letting you finish so you'll leave her alone. What do? You either accept the rejection and go to bed frustrated, or you have sex with a woman who's clearly not into it and feel like shit afterwards. Either way, your sexual needs are controlled entirely by her mood and her schedule. The reality, she just fucking dominated you. Your sexual satisfaction is completely at her mercy, and she knows it. And one clear indicator she's dominated you, she stops wanting to give you blowjobs. Here's the truth you need to hear, my guy. Every time you let her dominate you, her attraction to you drops. Every time you ask permission instead of making a decision, she respects you less. Every time you defer to her because you don't want to hear her mouth, you're training her to see you as weak. And women are not attracted to weakness. They're attracted to strength, to leadership, to men who dominate the frame of the relationship. Your wife doesn't want you to ask her what position she wants. She wants you to tell her what position you're putting her in. Your wife doesn't want you to ask if you can go hang out with your friends. She wants you to tell her you're going and handle her emotions when she pushes back. Your wife doesn't want you to negotiate your sexual needs. She wants you to lead the sexual dynamic with confidence and dominance. So here's what actually works. Step 1, stop asking, start telling. When you want to do something, don't ask permission. Tell her what's happening. I'm going to go watch the game with my guys this Sunday. Not, is it okay if I go watch the games with my guys this Sunday? Step 2, lead the sexual interaction. Stop asking her what she wants in bed. Tell her what you want. Move her body where you want it. Take control of her sexual dynamic. She doesn't want to be asked. She wants to be led. Step 3, set boundaries and enforce them. When she tries to dominate your time, your energy, your attention, say no. I'm not having this conversation right now. I just got home. I need 30 minutes to decompress. And then actually take those 30 minutes. Step 4, stop deferring to her emotions. When she's upset that you made a decision she doesn't like, let her be upset. Don't change your behavior to manage her emotions. She can handle her own feelings. She's a grown ass woman. When you keep her sexual desire and respect for you high through your dominance and leadership, everything else gets easier, including her enthusiastically wanting to please you sexually. So what changes when you stop letting her dominate you and start leading? What changes in your behavior? You stop seeking her approval for every decision. You stop asking permission and start making moves. You reclaim your time, your energy, and your masculine frame. You lead the relationship instead of deferring to her. You feel more confident because you're operating from strength, not fear. Now, here's what changes in her behavior. At first, she's going to test you harder. She's going to push back. She's going to be upset that you're not rolling over anymore. But here's what happens over time. She starts respecting you more. She starts seeing you as the man she married, not the guy who asked permission for everything. She starts initiating more. She starts pursuing you sexually because you've stopped being her subordinate and started being her man. And when her desire and respect for you are high, she pursues you sexually, including offering enthusiastic blowjobs weekly. But if you don't do this, if you keep letting her dominate you, here's what happens. You'll spend the next 20 years asking permission, deferring to her emotions, and wondering why she's not attracted to you anymore. You'll keep getting duty sex twice a month while watching other men who lead with confidence, get more passion, more respect, and more desire from their wives. And you'll never understand why, because you were too busy trying to be a good guy instead of recognizing that women want to be dominated by a man they respect. You'll reach 60, 65, 70 and realize you spent your entire marriage being dominated by the woman who was supposed to submit to your leadership. And you'll wish you understood this truth 30 years earlier. If you're tired of being dominated by your wife and ready to reclaim your masculine leadership, click the link in the bio to get access to my blueprint, How to Stop Your Wife's Bad Behavior Once and For All. Or if you want the opportunity to work with me and my team one-on-one, go to the 30dayfix.net. Just a heads up, my services are not cheap or affordable. I run a luxury boutique service and only work with husbands who earn a minimum of $150,000 a year. We have a 100% success rate, and we're the best at what it is that we do. Your woman wants to be dominated. Stop asking, start telling, watch what happens. Real quick, you know another husband who needs to hear this, don't you? That guy who's always asking permission and wondering why his wife isn't attracted to him. Send him this link. That's it. Help me help him. That's how it works. Yo, my God, if you found that video valuable, then you're not done, bro. Keep learning, keep growing, never stop. I want you to click on one of these videos over here. If you're not to the point where you're getting blowjobs weekly from your wife, you're not done. Keep watching. Click one of these. Thank me later.